Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. I have Trent with me. You can find him at the Miami Heat Network. So make sure to go to Trent's channel. He's pushing to 5,000 subscribers. And make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm pushing to 2K. So Trent, we had a roundtable episode yesterday. You were unavailable. So I wanted to get your opinion on the biggest Miami Heat topic right now, which is obviously around Jimmy Butler and the rumors that he potentially might get traded before the trade deadline. So my two-part question to you is, what do you think is actually going to happen? Do you think he will get traded by the trade deadline specifically? And the second part of that question is, what do you prefer as a Miami Heat fan to happen? Do you think we should trade him and get the assets and open up some cap space in the future, get some capital, expiring contracts, etc.? Like, just what are your thoughts on that?
So I feel like I say the same thing of like, let's go get some cap, free up some cap space, let's get some draft capital. But I'm gonna take another direction and be like, let's keep Jimmy. And the specific reason why I'm saying let's keep Jimmy at this point, and this is just at this point, so it's probably not answering your question 100%, but at this point, I think we should. Outside of that Detroit loss, which was a bad loss, we should not be losing to the Detroit Pistons twice like
Horrible.
that, especially after Jimmy had a triple double. I think the team has been playing well. You insert, Duncan, Haywood Highsmith, put Terry to the bench, put Jovic, put DMPs, dealing with injuries, whatever. I think the lineup has been one of the best lineups in the league. I think you let that rock. The trade deadline is February 6th, so we still got plenty of time to see like where this team's going to be at. But if we're just going to keep winning games like this, I think you keep it rolling and then you trade for a player. And then after this season, you let go of Jimmy. So I think it's more just we keep winning games. You keep Jimmy Butler, see what Jimmy could do for us. You trade for a player maybe like a Terry Rozier type, like last season we did, um, and then see how far we go in the postseason. And if Jimmy Butler is still asking for that much money, and the front office is still not willing to do it, you let go of Jimmy in the offseason. Because I feel like when you make a big trade like this with Jimmy Butler, like it's like trading a star player during midseason. You don't see that often. You do and you don't. You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of like all-star players. Like not let me not say all-star players. You see players like Mikal Bridges get traded. Jimmy Butler is nowhere near Mikal Bridges
Star
get
players, not all
yeah,
step.
yeah,
Also, yeah, borderline all-star type player. Yeah,
yeah. You
Julius
see those.
Randle, who's not like a star.
Yeah, you see those players type get traded. So you don't really see players like that get traded like during the trade deadline. I think it's during the offseason. So and what was your second question? So I think we
I was
keep
asking,
Jimmy.
what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that's what that you just stated what you want, but what do you
Yeah.
think will actually
What do
happen? Do
I
you think
think
the Heat
is
will
going to
trade him?
happen? Personally, what I do think is going to happen, I think Jimmy leaves. I think he does get traded, actually. There's always some truth to everything. Always. I don't care what anybody says. This is probably the most trade rumors and trade stuff that we heard, trade news that we heard off Jimmy. This is the most. You don't usually hear this much. Even with the Tyler Hero trade stuff, like you would hear it for a little bit, and then be like, "Oh, is he gonna get traded?" Nah, and then we just kind of keep moving on with it. But with Jimmy, it's like we got the teams that are ready to trade for him. I mean, the Houston Rockets, they look good. They're like second and third in the Western Conference right now, and you're telling me they don't want Jimmy Butler to get them over the hump, especially with OKC not looking as great as they are. Now you can be like, well, their record looks great. When I say they're not looking great as they are, I don't think they're ready to compete for a championship just yet. When I seen them lose to the Bucks in that cup, and J Dub looked horrible as their second option, the Houston Rockets are looking at that like we can overtake that. We can have a Jimmy Butler and a Segun, and with all the other young players that they have over there, that we can possibly compete against OKC and make it to the finals. So that's probably what these teams are looking at. Even Dallas, they're like Dallas is still playing good. So I do think he gets traded. There's no point in bringing him to an extension because we're not beating Boston.
Yeah, and also we could let him if we don't trade him because we're playing well, like you said. To a certain degree. I mean, we should be playing better. We've lost 6 games by 3. That's the most in the NBA, which is frustrating. We lost to the Pistons twice and the Raptors once. Those 3 games alone right there, Trent, would put us at 16-9 versus 13-11. That means we would be, I think, the third seed. I think we would leapfrog the Knicks. Don't even mention the Knicks game where we blew double-digit leads. Sacramento game, we blew double-digit leads. Suns game, that one where we didn't even get a shot off, right? Jimmy Butler got blocked because Tyler didn't shoot it, or Jimmy didn't shoot it. He tried to pass it to Tyler. He was out of bounds. All that shit is crazy, but we could let him walk, to your point, and that's not the worst thing. Like, people think it's the worst thing, but we open up $52 million of cap space next season. So then we have that space to sign players. Like, I read something about how the Clippers, people are talking shit. They let Paul George go for nothing, but it's like, no, he left. We signed 4 or 5 different players that we wanted because we didn't want what Golden State was offering us. Like, unless we get a good offer, we're not going to trade him. So, I mean, a good offer has to come up. We're not talking about Bradley Beal. He's the fifth highest paid player, and he's not like fully washed because he's still 31. He's just mostly still injured, but like being injured all the time is making him basically washed, right? Like, if he could miraculously play 82 games and he was like the second or first option on a mediocre or like a good team, he could probably score 22, 23 again. He's the third option. So like that shit's not going to happen. But I'm with you. I don't want to trade Jimmy Butler, and I actually don't think he's going to get traded because the Heat are stubborn. And you're never going to get fair value for trading a superstar or all-star, right? Like, you can get very good value, but that's maybe in the future. Like with the Paul George trade, no one knew Shai Gilgeous was going to be as good as he is, MVP type. They knew he was going to be a good prospect. You know what I mean? But anyway, my last
Let me
part.
say, hold on, let
Yeah,
me
go
say
ahead. Go
something,
ahead.
man. So it's a good point because people, I always brought up like, well, we got to get something out of Jimmy, let's get capital. But freeing up cap space is not bad at all because I can look at different sports. I look at the Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan. We lost Juan Soto. Bro, we went out there and signed 4 great players to fill out this team. 4 great players. Look at the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins didn't get paid. He just got benched for a rookie quarterback because he's playing horrible. So sometimes you have to let your older players go and not give them that contract. Now I know this is the NBA channel, but the Falcons are screwed. You paid a player $90 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
He's
90
gonna go
million
to
guaranteed at age like
nine.
35.
Yes, 90 mil guaranteed, and now he's going to the bench. And so that's the problem, and that's why people have concerns. Look at Paul George. We can go back to the NBA. Paul George has not been playing great. I know the 76ers are regretting this. I know for sure. But the Clippers, they're competing. James Harden looks like a star again. They got a lot of pieces around. The Norman Powell stepped up. Zubac is pretty good. So it's like sometimes you do got to take the risk and let these players go. And so far, like it does help out the team because you can just fill out the roster with better players. And what's one thing that we complain about? Not having enough depth pieces. But you know what I'm willing to do? I'm willing to keep Jimmy Butler just for this season. Let him go in the offseason. Trade Terry Rozier at the trade deadline. Bring up Isaiah Stevens at the 2-way. Put Drew Smith on a standard deal. Have those 2 players as our point guard. And let's rock. I'll have a Drew Smith and Isaiah Stevens as our guards. I don't care. I'm fine with that because those 2 players are going to do what we got to do, and that's going to be winning, and that's what's going to and I'm not saying Terry's not helping us win, but for his deal, for what we gave up, it's just not worth it. And the players that we developed over the years, Kendrick Nuns, Gabe Vincent, we're going to do the same thing with Isaiah Stevens and Drew Smith. If Drew
For
Smith
cheap.
just for cheap, and that's the key thing, especially with this new CBA. But yeah, that's kind of what my trade deadline like package like wants to look like. Trade Terry, maybe even I'm not saying necessarily trade Duncan, but look at his value. Where's because I don't think Duncan's coming back. His contract's wrap it up in 2 years, I believe. Man, I don't think
Next
he comes
season's his
back.
last. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he comes back. So just try. I'm not saying trade him. I'm just saying what can he possibly get off?
Yeah, I was gonna. So yeah, last part. So if you said you want to trade Terry during the trade deadline this year, if we can't, it might be harder because he does have 2 years, this year and next year. Next year might be easier at the deadline because he's going to be expiring contract at $24 million. We got rid of Kyle. I mean, it took us adding that stupid first round pick to get Terry, but we traded a 37-year-old Terry Rozier with a larger contract because it was expiring. So I feel like we could trade Terry obviously easier next year. But my question is, if we traded Duncan, who's on the trade block hypothetically, according to Bobby Marks, we all know as Heat fans, Terry's not fitting. He's most likely the one to go. Who of the rumored guys would you want to bolster this team? You said the Heat are doing okay. Like a Vucevic, a Kuzma, a Cam Johnson, kind of like who do you think is the best fit for that Terry trade?
So I don't know what we can get off of Terry Rozier, but who I want would be a Vooch or Cam Johnson. Now, the reason why I love Cam Johnson has had an all-star year, a very underrated year. Don't be surprised if somehow he gets in the reserves or somebody gets injured and Cam Johnson's replacing them and he's in the all-star game. I'm telling you now, because this always happens. He's playing excellent basketball at a high clip, shooting 40% from the three-point line, averaging damn near 19 points a game. He had an excellent game yesterday. I would love to have him at the 4. And I know people like, well, we need Bam at the 4 and some at the 5. We had that. They just don't want to do it. It is what it is. I think we got to move on from that. Because even if you put Bam at the 4 with Vooch, I think they're the same height. I think they're around the same height. Isn't Vooch and Bam
He's
the same height?
6'10". Yeah, he's like 1 inch taller.
Yeah, like they're just like around the same height, so it doesn't even matter. So I think if you space the floor with Cam Johnson, put him at the 4, with the way Tyler Herro's been playing, with the way Jimmy Butler has been playing when he wants to, put Bam, and Cam Johnson's, I love that. I personally love that, and do what I told you to do. Upgrade Isaiah Stevens to the 2-way. Put Drew Smith as that point guard, because what Drew Smith is going to do is winning plays defensively. He's going to hit those big shots. And it's crazy, Amir, because we wasn't talking about like this with Drew Smith, but it's just all about improving. And so the way Isaiah Stevens is playmaking in the G League, he could definitely help that out coming up to the NBA and making it easier for Jimmy, Tyler, Bam, and Cam Johnson when he does get traded to the Miami Heat. So Cam Johnson, Vucevic, I like those two options, but yeah.
Those are two I like too. And also, I was looking at Cam. He's actually shooting 43% on almost 7 attempts. Duncan is shooting 38% on 6.4 attempts. So I would even say, because we kind of play positionless basketball to a certain degree. Like Tyler's still not like a real point guard, right? Like our backcourt is Tyler and Duncan. So we don't have a real, to your point, we need to bring up Drew. We need to give him a standard contract. We need to give Isaiah Stevens the 2-way so we can actually have real point guards. And I think of the two also that I mentioned, Isaiah is more of a true kind of floor general versus Drew. Drew, you know, he's still more of a traditional point guard than Terry or Tyler. But anyway, I even think putting Cam in replacement of Duncan on the starting lineup could even work just to add even more defense. So Tyler, because he's shooting 43% on higher volume, so he has that ability and that gravity. So you got him, Tyler, Haywood, Jimmy, and Bam, like that, and because Cam's not like an elite defender, but he's a plus defender, right? Would you say he's a plus defender, like above average? So adding him in there, like, would be huge because especially because he's shooting more threes and at a higher clip than Duncan. So we can't use that Duncan gravity excuse.
And also, Cam Johnson is not a three-point shooter. He's not just averaging almost 20 points a game. He's around 18.6 or 18.8. He's not. I'm around up to 19. He's not averaging just because shooting threes. The dude can play. The dude can hoop. He can do way more than Duncan Robinson. Like Duncan Robinson is just known as a shooter. He's trying to improve his game a little bit, driving a little bit more. But Cam Johnson can do way more. We've seen it with Phoenix. Now we're seeing it with Brooklyn. I definitely think he'll fit perfect with the Miami Heat. So I'm definitely willing to do that. And I'm definitely willing to I'll finish it off with this, Amir. To heading in the playoffs, this is what my team wants to look like. Isaiah Stevens, Drew Smith. Haywood Highsmith, Duncan Robinson. Right? Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Jaime. Did I say Cam Johnson? Cam Johnson. And then, obviously, your Stevens, your Drews. Kevin Love is obviously going to be there. I'm trying to think of the top of my head right now. And then Khalil Weir. I'm fine with that rotation. I'm fine with those players playing. And I'm sick and tired of people saying, I don't know why people want Khalil Weir to play. So he can make his mistakes now. And so when he makes mistakes now, he learns from it. Like, I'm happy he's in the G League, but, like, I seen some stuff from your boy. He used to hop on the show with us. He's like, I don't know. He covers the G League. You know what I'm talking about? He covers the G League. Yeah, Skyforce.
Yep.
He's like, I don't know why y'all want to play Khalil Ware so bad. Like he makes too much mistakes. Who cares? Why, like who cares? You traded away Thomas Bryant to free up a cap space. I mean to free up a roster spot to bring in Juice on a standard deal to bring Stevens in, and you're telling me you're going to play K Love at the 5? K Love is unplayable in the postseason. Like what are we talking about? Khalil
And for
Ware is the
certain
next.
teams on defense, he can't move anymore either.
Yeah.
Even in regular season, he's unplayable for certain matchups. Young teams like Detroit, like against the Rockets, against OKC, he better not play a lot against the OKC. They're gonna cook him.
So you got to bring in a young, tall, athletic guy. He messes up, cool. Jovic messed up plenty of times, but he's still in the damn starting lineup at the time. You know what I mean? Now he's not playing, but he still got the opportunity, still got the chance. So we got to play Khalil Ware. So I'm fine with that. Trade Terry, bring those players up, trade for Cam, and let's roll. Let's see what we can do with a Cam, a Tyler, a Jimmy, and Bam.
Yeah, I agree. I probably take Vucevic just because he's having such a good year and like he's such a good rebounder, even though he's only 6'10", and he could score 20 points. He could hit the three. He could play make a little bit. He's kind of like a Sabonis-esque type of big. So like I think that can move the needle a little bit more. But like again, he's not the greatest defender, and Spo doesn't really play two bigs together, so we don't know if that would work. Technically, I think Cam would fit in the Miami Heat system as a prototypical guy that Spo likes, 3-and-D kind of guy, but also he's more than that, obviously. So I think Cam would probably help us the most. It's the most I think affordable because they're trying to do a fire sale for sure too. They aren't asking. We don't know what they're asking for, but for Vooch, they were asking for like 2 first-round picks, like, and the market's like, no, hell no. So anyway, thanks for hopping on, Trent. Good episode. Appreciate the time. So guys, don't forget, go to Trent's channel, Miami Heat Network, and don't forget to subscribe to his channel and subscribe to my channel as well. We'll be back soon with some more episodes for you. Thanks again.